The rain fell like it had a grudge against the earth, pounding the pavement outside the courthouse as if it, too, had something to grieve. Alina stood beneath the grey sky, her hands trembling, not from the cold, but from the weight of the papers she held. Divorce papers. Final. Absolute. Merciless. She was 7 months pregnant. Across from her stood Victor Hale, her husband of 5 years, impeccably dressed in a charcoal suit that cost more than most people's rent. His face was sharp, clean, untouched by remorse. The man she once loved. The man who used to kneel beside her bed when mourning. Sickness kept her awake, was gone. "I told you," Victor said coldly, not even meeting her eyes. "This marriage is over. I can't have a weak woman dragging me down." Alina swallowed hard. "Victor, I'm carrying your child." He finally looked at her then, but there was no softness, only irritation. That was a mistake, and mistakes can be erased. Those words cut deeper than any blade. She wanted to scream, to remind him of the nights she stayed awake while he built his empire, of the meals she skipped so he could attend meetings, of the inheritance she hid because she wanted to be loved for who she was, not what she owned. But she said nothing. Victor signed the final line with a flourish and shoved the papers toward her. "You'll leave the house today. My family doesn't want a scandal. And don't come begging later." Alina nodded slowly, pressing a hand to her swollen belly. Her baby kicked, soft, innocent, unaware that its father had just erased its existence. She turned away, rain soaking her thin coat as she walked down the courthouse steps with nowhere to go. Victor didn't look back. He didn't see the way she stumbled. He didn't see the pain twist her face. He didn't hear her whisper, "I'll protect you, even if it kills me." What Victor didn't know, what he would never imagine, was that Alina wasn't just his discarded wife. She was the sole heir to the Blackwood Trillion Trust, a fortune hidden behind shell companies, offshore accounts, and silence. Her late father, a man who believed wealth should never buy love, had raised her to live modestly until she understood the value of humanity. She had never told Victor, and now she never would. That night, alone in a small rented room, Alina went into premature labor. She screamed into a pillow, clutching her stomach as pain ripped through her body. No husband, no family, no comfort, just a frightened woman fighting for 2 lives. When her daughter was born, tiny, fragile, but breathing, Alina wept harder than she ever had in her life. "I'll name you Hope," she whispered, tears soaking the blanket, "because you're all I have left." Far away, Victor toasted his freedom with champagne, laughing with his parents as they discussed expanding their influence. None of them knew that destiny had already begun to move. Quietly, patiently, and without mercy. The first year after the divorce nearly broke Alina. Hope was sickly, often crying through the night, her tiny chest wheezing, as Alina rocked her back and forth, in a dim apartment, with peeling paint and unreliable heat. Medical bills stacked up like threats. Alina sold her wedding ring to buy formula. She skipped meals so her daughter wouldn't. But she never complained. Because love, real love, doesn't ask for pity. One evening, as Hope slept against her chest, Alina opened the black leather folder her father had given her years ago, with instructions she had never wanted to follow. "Only open this if you are betrayed," the note had said. Her hand shook as she read. That night, Alina Blackwood died, and Abe Blackwood Holdings was reborn. Within months, quiet acquisitions began. No headlines, no announcements, just signatures moving behind the scenes. Hospitals, pharmaceutical companies, medical supply chains. One name kept appearing in her reports: Hale Family Medical Center, Victor's Family Hospital, the very place that had once refused to treat Hope properly because Alina couldn't afford their priority care. Alina stared at the file for a long time. Then she whispered, "Purchase it." The board hesitated. This will destroy them financially." She closed the folder. "No, it will teach them humanity." The deal went through in silence. Victor didn't know until the day he walked into his office and found security waiting. "The hospital has new ownership," the manager said nervously. "Effective immediately." Victor laughed. That's impossible. Then he saw the name on the screen. Blackwood Trillion Trust. His blood ran cold. Victor demanded a meeting. He expected a ruthless billionaire, a faceless enemy. He did not expect Alina. She entered the boardroom dressed simply. No jewelry, no arrogance. Only quiet strength. Her eyes were calmer now, stronger. And beside her stood a little girl with big curious eyes. Victor's breath caught. Alina. This is Hope, she said softly. Your daughter. The room spun. You lied to me, he whispered. She shook her head. No. You never asked who I was once I became inconvenient. His knees nearly buckled. I didn't know, Victor choked. If I had known. You still would have chosen yourself, she replied gently. That's who you were. Tears slid down his face as he looked at the child he had abandoned, without ever knowing her name. I'm sorry, he sobbed. Alina watched him break, not with satisfaction, but with sorrow. Sorry doesn't undo nights of hunger, she said. Sorry doesn't erase pain. But it can become something better, if you change. She turned to leave. Victor fell to his knees. Please, he cried. Let me be her father. Alina paused. For her sake, she said quietly, prove you deserve the chance. Victor resigned from every position he held. He sold his assets and donated millions to rebuild free clinics. He actually worked, for the first time in his life, cleaning floors, carrying supplies, listening. Hope didn't recognize him at first, but children know sincerity. Slowly, she smiled at him. Alina watched from a distance, guarding her heart. One evening, Hope tugged Alina's hand. Mama, Daddy cried today. Alina knelt. Why? Because I hug him. That night, Alina cried too. Years later, the Hale Hospital became the most compassionate medical center in the country. Victor stood beside Alina, not as her owner, not as her savior, but as her equal. I loved you wrong, he said one night. She smiled softly. But you learned. Hope laughed between them, safe and warm. And Victor knew, the greatest fortune he almost lost was never money. It was them.